All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Behind the Grind. So, as you guys already know, Siege mode is available for testing now within the public test server on PC. So, I've had some time to play with the game mode. I've made 2 videos on it, and so I thought I would make a video showing 10 cool additions that, in my opinion, would improve the game for the better and switch up the flow of gameplay and combat for the best. So, before we dive in, I want to ask you to please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Also, let's take a moment to thank our channel members for supporting the Behind the Grind YouTube channel. Your help means a lot, and if you're interested in being a channel member, check out the information in the description down below. Thank you. So, as a disclaimer, I do want to say that the entries on this list are not ranked by any way, shape, or form. They are simply listed through numbers 1 all the way to 10. So yeah, it's not ranked, so number 1 isn't the best new addition that I think would improve the game, and number 10 isn't the worst, if that makes sense. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into 10 things that, in my opinion, would improve Siege mode for the best. So as we kick this off with number 1, let's go ahead and start with Upgradeable Reinforcements. Now, Upgradeable Reinforcements would have everything to do with Cadians, Astartes, and even the Dreadnought. So the way this would work, in my opinion, is let's say you have the Astartes. Well, for starters, we should be able to customize them and give them weapons of our choice, and we should also be able to customize stuff like armor and all that good stuff. But with all that out of the way, I do think that we should be able to upgrade how much damage they do, how much health they have on the map, how much time they are able to stay fighting for us, and all that kind of good stuff. There's a lot you could really do with the Astartes reinforcements, and the same kind of goes for the Cadians. But with the Cadians, it's a little different. So with Cadians already, we can call in platoons of, I believe it's like 20, 40, 60, and 80. I think we should completely get rid of that and just focus on the smaller things, in my opinion. So let's say we can call in a rifle platoon and we just get 40 Cadian riflemen, or we should be able to call in a weapons platoon and have some mortarmen, some heavy machine gunners, and all that kind of cool stuff. Or in something that's a little longer to develop because it is brand new to the game and its assets, we should be able to call in some Ogryns to kind of give us some heavy reinforcements and all that kind of cool stuff. Like, I'm not asking for some deathcore of Krieg, but you know, we could kind of switch out these regular basic Cadian shock troops for something cooler. And then to end this all out with the Dreadnought, once again, it's kind of like the Astartes. We should be able to customize what weapons he brings onto the map. We should be able to customize and upgrade his armor, his health, how long he stays on the map, damage done, damage received, all that kind of good stuff. You guys get the gist of it. So yeah, upgradable reinforcements, I do think these will be a positive for the game, and I would like to see some form of this come into the game. Moving on to entry number 2, we have Fortifications. So this is something that is taken directly from Gears of War 3, but I do believe that we should have fortifications in a horde shooter. So in a way similar to Gears of War 3, I do believe we should be able to create choke points and defensive positions with spike traps, razor wires, laser barriers, sentries, manned heavy machine guns, all that kind of cool stuff. We can even have like minefields, fire traps, all that stuff. Like, there's no reason to not have this kind of cool gameplay content in a horde shooter. This would do nothing but improve the game as a whole. So what do you guys think about fortifications? This, in my opinion, is the one thing that this game mode needs right now. If they're not already developing fortifications, we do need this kind of stuff to feel like we're actually fending off and holding a defensive position. But moving on to number 3, this is probably one of the strangest entries in my list. I do believe we should have what I like to call enemy captains. So in a way similar to the enemies that call in reinforcements, enemy captains should be, let's say for example, a Tyranid warrior that is outlined in pink or is surrounded by like a colored mist, so that way you're able to tell that he's a captain. Now what the captain is going to do is that he will appear somewhere on the map, and it's your job to go and find him. Every 30 seconds you spend trying to find him, or like 10, we can bring it back down to 10, he will spawn in a heavy class enemy. So you really need to track him down and find him before you get overwhelmed with all these heavy class enemies. I think that would, one, switch up the gameplay to kind of get you out of your area of comfort if you are hiding behind fortifications, but two, it can engage everybody in finding for the captain. So like if you want to have two dudes fending off the enemies and have one guy try to find them, or just have everybody try to find them at once, I do think that enemy captains would be a net positive to switch up the gameplay and make things more intense from time to time. So moving on to entry number 4, I have defense rounds. Now, defense rounds are a little different from what we already have in the game. So let's say during a round, it's a special round, this huge power core rises from the ground. Now, this thing is used to power all your operations, right? So it keeps your requisition machines up and running, it keeps your fortifications up and running, but for some reason it is now exposed and it is your job to defend it from enemy damage. So gargoyles will attack it, friggin' spores will attack it, tyranids will attack it, and depending on how much damage it has done, it can reduce the time reinforcements come to help you on the map. So you really have to focus on defending that thing and just kind of holding it off. And once again, defense and horde just are like, it's like peas and carrots, right? You can't have one without the other. And in siege mode right now, they do have the horde part locked down, but there's really no defense to it. Like, I don't feel like I'm defending something, I just feel like I'm killing the enemies over and over. So I would like to have that feeling of defense, and I do believe that defense rounds would be a net positive for that. So moving on to entry number 5, I have Stratagems. So in a way similar to Helldivers 2, a game that did these perfectly in my opinion, we can have things like orbital airstrikes on things, we could have strafe runs, we could have incendiary bombings, we could have carpet bomb campaigns. You guys get the gist of it. We could have like laser bombs dropped onto the map if you're in a tight situation and you need to be able to call a precision airstrike to take out that Carnifex or that Hell Brute that has been bothering you. Then that would be a pretty cool addition in my opinion. So like already in the game existing, you have the Bio-Titan that's kind of sitting outside whenever you trigger wave 5, and he just kind of dies. So I don't know, that kind of inspired me to bring this up, because think how cool it would be if you could call an airstrike on him and just completely take his ass out. And yeah, that's something that I think would switch up the gameplay in a pretty good way. Let me know what you guys have to say about Stratagems. It's not that I want to copy Helldivers 2. Disclaimer for all the haters already in the comment section complaining about me comparing Helldivers 2 to Space Marine 2. I'm not comparing them. I'm just taking what worked in other games and kind of seeing if they would work in Space Marine 2, which I do think is a good thing to do, and it's healthy. We want to see our game improve, so how else could we do that but take what worked in other games and kind of apply them to Space Marine 2? I mean, if they're doing it great, we can certainly do it great. So yeah, Stratagems. Anyways, moving on to entry number 6. Now, this is an interesting one. We have power-ups. So, say you kill a Chaos Rubric Marine, sorry about that, and he drops a power-up. Now, all of a sudden, you have boost ranged damage for 30 seconds. Now, this would be pretty sick because now you're running around the map and you're shooting enemies everywhere because you have that damage boost. Now, whether it's a boost to your armor or a boost to your health, or say you take less damage or your movement speed is increased by 50%. Once again, this would change up the gameplay, and I really don't see anything negative coming from this. Power-ups are pretty fun, and they kind of bring that more arcadey feel to the game, but hey, if you get a movement speed and like a damage boost in like one go, dude, you'll be zipping around the map just blowing shit up. I do really think that this would be a pretty cool addition to the game. So let me know what you guys have to say about power-ups. But moving on to entry number 7, we have survival bonuses. So these survival bonuses are constant upgrades to your rewards or modifiers within the game the longer you stay alive. So say nobody died from rounds 1 to 5. Well, now you guys do extra damage, or you take less damage overall, all that kind of stuff. I think once again, that would be a pretty interesting change. It would switch up the flow of gameplay, and it would give players a pretty good reason to kind of work together and stay alive, right? So like maybe at the end of the wave or at the end of the match, whenever you decide to end your play, say you guys get 20% more XP because of how little you died during the actual mode itself. So yeah, I do think that survival bonuses would create a good incentive for players to, well, perform well. So yeah, moving on to number 8, we have alternating factions or choice of faction. So this is a big one in my opinion, because currently as the game stands, I don't feel like it works very well with the enemy factions that we have to fight against. So every 5 rounds, you will fight the Chaos, Thousand Suns, or the Tyranids. So you will fight Tyranids for 5 rounds, and then you'll fight Thousand Suns for 5 rounds. And in my opinion, I think they should alternate every round, or at least every other round, like 2 and 2, just to switch up the flow of gameplay. Fighting Chaos for 5 rounds straight can get kind of boring, and the same kind of goes for Tyranids. Now, I do think that both factions should be able to appear on the map at once, but if they can't do that, at least have them alternate or give us the choice of whether to fight against Chaos or the Tyranids. So yeah, that's number 8. Moving on to number 9, we have a pretty interesting idea that I just thought of, and this is the Resupply Dropship. So let's say that you don't have any requisition points and you guys are low on ammo and you really need a resupply right now. Well, the game is going to throw a dropship that will hover around the map and find a spot to drop a supply drop. Well, it will drop supplies and all that kind of good stuff, but you have to fend off some gargoyles or spores or like Xenos or Thousand Suns that will try to shoot it down. It would be pretty cool in my opinion if during the course of the match itself you could have like pretty cool armor drop off or some ammunition boxes or like grenades or like stems or and all that kind of cool stuff, like separate from the requisition store as a whole. The dropship just kind of serves as like an additional extra hand, you know, just to kind of like help people out. So yeah, the resupply dropship, I do think in my opinion would once again switch up the gameplay, and that's relatively what we're looking for here. We're looking for things that will switch up the gameplay. Siege, like I've already said, it is fun, but it does get repetitive extremely fast. So when it comes to this list, I am looking for things that will switch up the flow of gameplay. So to end this thing off at number 10, we do have what I like to call round or game modifiers. So let's start off with the round modifiers. Let's say that in one round, all of a sudden you take more damage from Tyranids, and well, now the Tyranids are dealing more damage to you. Or say you are subject to increased ranged damage, but you deal more melee damage, all that kind of stuff. So like you have like, they're not challenges, they're just modifiers. So think of the skulls from like Halo or something. So yeah, I do think that the round modifiers could really switch up the gameplay. Like say your grenades do extra damage, right? However, you are one shot if you get shot by a specific enemy, all that kind of good stuff. I do think that it would create a pretty interesting challenge and keep players like really focused on completing these objectives and playing around these modifiers. Now, with the game modifiers, these are things that you can select prior to booting up your match. So like whether you want to take increased range damage, or you just want to make the game harder for yourself, or if you just want to have like one life, once again, this is stuff that will prove pretty beneficial to the gameplay and the flow of combat, just because it will switch up what we already have and just incentivize players to try out new things. So as we close this off, that's 10 things that in my opinion would improve siege mode in Space Marine 2. I really want to know what you guys think about every single one of these additions. I thought about all these for the past week, and I do really think that by adding at least some of this stuff, it would prove overall beneficial to the game itself. And you know, that's why I make videos like this, because I want to see the game improve. Some people out there just kind of think of me as a hater. don't think of me as a hater. Think of me as a raging critic, right? So like I do go off sometimes and I am critical of the game. However, I am a big lover of Space Marine 2 and I do really want to see this game succeed in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have when it comes to ways that I would change up the gameplay in Siege mode for Space Marine 2. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more content. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, I'd encourage you to join the channel for $5 a month for exclusive perks. Thanks. This has been Behind the Grind, talking about how I would improve Siege mode, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!